Alright, so here we have our Frankenstein Gy6. That's on a go-kart Timberland. Again, don't mind the mess in here because I never clean up after any of my projects, so there's just junk. I mean, you got a piston rod, crank, some engine parts. Let me show you what we did here. So this engine had a severe malfunction. As you can see here, this is where the mount went that actually held the back of the engine up. Get a better picture here. That's just completely busted off. This should be, continue around here. A little bushing went in here and a pin that went up to hang. The back of the engine's actually floating. It hangs, and that's how you adjust the tension for the chain. Well, something got in the chain, and the weakest link was apparently the engine casing, which broke. I then made a mount that fit on this, which I think is the shock mount for the scooter. I'm not sure. This is actually an engine that goes in a scooter. They use them on the carts there, but so I made an engine mount there. The problem with that is it was too far over this way, so when you really got on the gas, it tried to torque the engine down. So you really need something that right here by this pulley. And I don't know if you can see in the video here, these are actually, if you can see that, the splines. It won't focus. The splines are actually twisted. There is a twist right there. You can kind of see it in the video where the shaft actually twisted when the chain popped off. I mean, this shaft, the output shaft is bent. I mean, you can't turn it. I mean, it's just bound up. So I had another Gy6 laying around here that was blown up. Well, it ran, but it smoked real bad. Actually, if you look at my videos, there's one called, well, we called this cart Old Smoky. That's the engine that was on it. The original engine smoked real bad. The rings are just completely worn out. So what we did was we took two engines. So this half of the crankcase is from the old engine, and of course it's fine. See, I made a new mount there, and it mounts in there, goes right up into the scooter. Fine. If you can see here, there's a difference. This half of the crankcase is from the newer Chinese clone engine. This half of the crankcase, which I cleaned up, is actually from the original Howhit engine, which someone told me was Japanese. I'm not sure if that's true or not. They're both Honda clones, but so you got a Chinese clone and a Japanese clone of a Honda engine. Well, I used the jug and the cylinder head off the Chinese clone with the actual the piston rings, everything. So basically, you got a complete Frankenstein here. Half the engine is Japanese, half the engine is Chinese. It has the Japanese oil pump assembly in it with the Chinese rotating mass, which would be the crankshaft and the piston. And let me see, it has a Japanese head on it and Japanese timing parts. Or, well, Howhit. I don't know if it's Japanese or not. That's what I've been told. So half the engine's Howhit, half the engine is TMEC. There's a couple things we did on this engine because we don't really care, and we want to see if it works out. One of the things is there's an actual gasket that goes in between. This is a split crankcase. This crankcase is split right up the middle, right up to the actual bottom of the jug there where it bolts down. The whole thing bolts on. If I had this plastic off, I'd show you, but I didn't have the wherewithal to make a video when we had it apart, which would have been cool. But anyway, so yeah, where was I? Anyway, yeah, so there's a seal in here. An actual, I think it was like a paper gasket. We didn't have any gasket kits for this engine. So I decided that we'll just assemble this with the RTV. We'll see what happens. I read online that this will not work. So we'll just have to see what happens. The reason is that seal there, what's that gasket, probably 30,000ths of an inch, something like that. That is actually factored into when they build the engine. That tolerance is factored in. So this engine is, what, 30,000ths of an inch thinner than a normal engine is. All fit back together fine. The other thing we did, which you can't see because the plastic is here, the jug, the bottom of the jug has another gasket, again, about 30,000ths of an inch, something like that. That gasket's gone, sealed with RTV, which means this engine actually now has higher compression because that jug has moved down the amount of that seal, the width of that gasket. But the piston's still going to travel the same because its travel is designated by the crankshaft, which is down here. So what I've effectively done is shave the head about 30 thousandths. I don't know if you've heard of that. Shaving the head gives you more compression. So it cranks over fine. Everything spins freely. I've actually had it started on the bench. I put a carburetor on it. It fired up. Revved it a few times. Everything seems fine. So only time will tell if that works. But what I've been told is you cannot RTV it makes the tolerances off. Now, this being a Chinese clone, whatever the heck it is, and the tolerances are not that close to begin with. Let me tell you what, these babies are slapped together. Same with this. There's supposed to be a gasket in between the transmission cover and the swing arm. There's no gasket there. We just threw it back together. It's fine. It's a go-kart. It's made to have fun with. We're going to run her till she blows up. So I will make another video, but like I said, we had this thing started. It ran fine. Seemed to have lots of power. Once we get this all back together, I'll make another video. Right now, I got to get some bushing to line this up, because as you can see, that is not lined up. It needs to be out about right there, a little more to get lined up. So yeah, then we're perfect. I can show, this is the old parts that I just freaking stick welded that on there to see. You can see it lines up with this other mount, which worked, but it was sloppy. So went ahead and made this new one. Be able to adjust it. It should be back like it was from the factory. Had to re-weld this. When this popped off, when the chain came, I guess it rode up over the other teeth here. And what gave was, like I said, like I showed you, was this aluminum. But what it also did was when the chain rode up on these teeth, it closed that gap up. I mean, the chain got extremely tight. The chain did not give. It actually broke that and tweaked the entire frame, which this is cobbled together mess here just real quick to make it work. I had to take a piece of thick-walled pipe and put in there before. I mean, we thrash these things, do jumps and all kinds of stuff. I'm surprised they've held up as well as they have. So we had to make this one a little more beefy. And while I was at it, I went ahead and reinforced everything down here. Again, thick-walled pipe. It's all welded in both places. So that needs all painted and everything. But another thing I can do is, what I'm planning on doing is making a brace from here down to here somewhere, just to support that a little better. It's only supported at 4 points, and I don't really like that. This is cheap, very cheap metal. But that's basically it. Oh yeah, we put the Japanese or the Howhit clutch parts and everything in here. This is because the running gear on that TMEC was weak. If you got on it, trying to climb a hill or doing something, it would smoke the clutch. The Howits had a much better clutch in them. They were designed for this kart, so I imagine they have a little heftier clutch in it. So I went ahead and replaced that. But it's just amazing that all went back together. Being as there's basically two engines here, all put back into one. Done it before on a Honda Civic. Had a Frankenstein engine in that thing, like a Y7 block with a Z6 VTEC head on it, OBD1 conversion, etc. So not scared of the old Frankenstein. So I decided to build another one here. We'll see how it works, but. I'll make another video of it when it's running. We might have it running today. There's no electronics on there. They're all in a pile over here. I'm going to redo all that wiring and everything, make it look all neat. Get this thing cleaned up, and I think I'll paint the entire kart black. And we'll get her back on the road. So I guess that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Any comments on this Frankenstein Gy6, whether you think it's going to work, whether you think it's going to blow up the first time we ride it, I have no idea. Like I said, it does start and run. When we get her fired up, I'll make another video. Peace out.